Hi everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we have another installment of my classical paintings in my style drawing series, and today we are doing none other than the iconic Frida Kahlo. Today I'm going to be redrawing the Frida Kahlo self-portrait with thorn necklace and hummingbird. As you probably could tell from the title, I'm very excited because when I was in high school I actually had to do a study of this painting for school, and it was very interesting, and it was probably one of my favorite assignments that I had to do that year, and it was a great way for me to learn how to use oils. And I'm going to be giving you guys a little history lesson about it and just cool facts that I've done research on about Frida Kahlo herself, also things that I remember from studying her in high school. There's a lot of very interesting things about her because she did have a very insane life. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get into the redraw. So as I mentioned earlier, today we're doing a redraw of the Frida Kahlo painting Self-Portrait with Thorn Necklace and Hummingbird. It's an oil paint on canvas, and I'm going to get into it a little bit later on. Frida Kahlo, as many of you may know, was a Mexican Revolution feminist icon. She has such an insane, extraordinary life that I simply could not do a video on her without discussing her life, as so much of her life experiences are what inspired her works. She was once quoted saying, "My paintings carry with them the message of pain," and you can definitely see this in most, if not all, of her paintings, especially this self-portrait with Thorn Necklace and Hummingbird. I got a lot of the information for this video and this voiceover from a few sources, such as the New York Times, Singular magazine, FridaKahlo.org, and Wide Walls magazine. As always, links to the resources used will be in the description box if you would like to read up some more about her later. So, Magdalena Carmen Frida Kahlo y Calderón, aka Frida Kahlo, as some of you may know, lived between 1907 and 1954 in Mexico as an artist. I won't go too deep into her full life story, as I think I would be here for hours, but I highly recommend reading up on it if you're interested. I will go through some of the most key points in her life, I think, just so you guys get a general idea of her life. Over the course of her life, she struggled with many illnesses and poor health. Even as a child, she contracted polio and had to be bedridden for 9 months. This caused her, quote, right leg and foot to grow much thinner than her left one, quote, as stated in FridaKahlo.org, which caused her limp for years to come. During her studies in 1922, Kahlo was in a tragic bus accident that left her seriously injured. I won't go too into the gruesome details of her injuries, but they were bad and left Frida in a great deal of mental and physical pain. After the accident, she had to wear a full body cast for 3 months, which you can see depicted in some of her self-portraits from when she started painting at the time. When she was in the hospital, that's when she took up painting as a way to cope with the pain. Painting and art then, quote, became the sole reason for her to live, especially as her physical state drastically deteriorated in later years, end quote, as written in Wide Walls magazine. She was quoted saying, "I'm happy to be alive as long as I can paint." Wide Walls writes, quote, "On this long and painful journey, many of Kahlo's paintings were a way of reclaiming her body from medical issues and gender conformity. Self-Portrait with Thorn Necklace and Hummingbird, however, was a bittersweet celebration of hope," end quote. Which I think makes this painting so important in her journey. It seems to be a moment where she finally realized that there was hope to stay alive and hope within herself and her journey as an artist and as a woman living in Mexican Revolution times. Again, if you're interested in finding out more about Frida Kahlo and her life, she kept a very in-depth illustrated journal for the last 10 years of her life. It records her thoughts, feelings, poems, dreams, and generally the ups and downs of her thorny relationship with her husband, Diego Rivera. And all of these are beautifully illustrated by 70 amazing watercolor illustrations. I actually got to have a look at this journal when I was studying Frida Kahlo in high school for art class, and I can say it is in fact very interesting, and I recommend you looking into it. Besides pain and her romantic troubles, there are many themes pertaining to the Mexican Revolution and feminist gender nonconformity in a lot of her paintings. Frida Kahlo felt restrained by feminine beauty standards, often depicted in the West, so she often depicts herself as a Tijuana woman who usually represented strength, sexuality, and exoticism. Long story short, a girl boss before her time. I think we can all agree. Now getting into this specific painting, the Autorretrato con collar de espinas. I'm so sorry if that was a terrible pronunciation. I tried. This is actually a rather small oil painting, contrary to popular belief. It's only 24 by 18 inches, which for my metrics out there, 60 by 46 centimeters. It was painted in 1940, following Frida's divorce to her husband Diego Rivera, although they ended up getting back together later that year after a long marriage of affairs on both sides of the relationship. Drama. As you can see here, I was just taking the actual reference image from the original painting and actually color picking a lot of the base colors for pretty much all of the elements here. I just think it was a really nice way to keep the tones similar and in the same vein as the original painting, because she does have a very unique way of using color in her paintings, and I don't know, I just wanted the vibe to be similar because already the drawing is very much in my style. But yeah, getting back into this research. In this painting, Kahlo is in a, quote, frontal position as she is directly confronting the viewer's gaze from the canvas. Her bold eyebrows hold the emphasis on her face as a thorn necklace strangles her throat, trailing down her chest like the roots of a tree as it draws blood from her neck, end quote, says Wide Walls magazine. Many people interpret the thorny necklace as a self-representation of Frida as a Christian martyr and the pain that she endured during her marriage to Diego and all of the troubled waters that entailed. She is also surrounded by insects and animals, as well as a lush and somewhat claustrophobic jungle of leaves. She very often depicted herself in a dense jungle scene, and many people think that this meant to symbolize her struggles with infertility and how suffocating those troubles felt for her. Usually lush jungle and flowery imagery often symbolizes fertility, so the fact that she turned that symbolism into something so like claustrophobic for her own character in her self-portraits, some people think it relates to how much she struggled with that actual concept. You can also see a dead hummingbird hanging from her necklace of thorns. In Mexican folklore, hummingbirds are usually seen as a symbol of good luck, which is often associated with falling in love. There are some people who see it as a nod to the Aztec god of war, and bear with me, this pronunciation, Huitzilopochtli. That probably made no sense, but basically this Aztec god of war was, quote, often depicted as a hummingbird or with a helmet in the shape of a blue or green hummingbird, end quote, as written by Singulart magazine. But most people read it as a symbol for love, since this was painted right after her divorce and at a real peak in her tumultuous relationship with her husband. The black cat on her left shoulder is often seen as a symbol of the looming bad luck in her life and death, while the monkey on her right shoulder, playing with her thorn necklace, is often seen as a symbol of unintentional evil. As you can see, the monkey is just mindlessly playing with the thorn necklace around her neck, which in part seems to be tightening the thorn necklace around her and causing her pain. Some see this monkey as a nod to her husband Rivera, as he once actually gifted Frida a spider monkey, go figure, as well as the fact that the monkey is inflicting, of course, pain on Kahlo unintentionally. In 1938, Frida Kahlo befriended André Breton, who was one of the big names in the Surrealist movement in the art world at the time. Frida said that she never actually considered herself as a Surrealist, quote, until André Breton came to Mexico and told me I was one, end quote. She also writes, quote, really, I do not know whether my paintings are surrealist or not, but I do know that they are the frankest expression of myself. Since my subjects have always been my sensations, my states of mind, and the profound reactions that life has been producing in me, I have frequently objectified all this in figures of myself, which were the most sincere and real thing that I could do in order to express what I felt inside and outside of myself, end quote. So yeah, Frida Kahlo was very adamant about how she didn't really like to put a label on her style of work. They really were just a therapeutic device for her because she did suffer so much in her life. Her artwork was mainly just a way to cope with that and a way to depict her internal emotions. So I think that's just a really nice way for the way that she describes her art. It was like, I don't really mind what people consider it. I just did it because I enjoyed it and it made me feel a bit better, which is what I think art should be, really. Unfortunately, her health continued to deteriorate in the 1950s as she was diagnosed with gangrene in her right foot, which, if you'll recall, was actually the right foot that had a lot of troubles when she was just 6 years old because of her polio. She became bedridden for yet another 9 months and had to have several surgeries done on her. None of this, however, stopped her from continuing painting. During this time, she actually even hosted an exhibition for a lot of her artworks from a bed that the gallery had set up for her. She welcomed all of the guests and people at the exhibition literally from her bed. She's such a cool lady, oh my gosh. She later had to get another surgery to amputate the leg that had been diagnosed with gangrene. Also, P.S. no one Google gangrene, okay? Trust me, just don't do it. Because I did, and I regret it. After a long battle with health issues and depression, Frida died a few days after her 47th birthday in her beloved blue house. A very tragic and turbulent life she lived, unfortunately, but such an amazing, inspirational woman, completely ahead of her time. Not only a feminist badass, but an outspoken political activist in the Mexican Revolution, all while battling with her physical and mental illnesses. Needless to say, she will forever remain an icon in the history of art and Latinx culture. So, yeah guys, that was Frida Kahlo in a tiny little nutshell and some information about this painting. And as I mentioned earlier, I did have to do a study in oil of this painting back in high school, and yeah, it takes redrawing something and trying to replicate a painting to actually realize how talented these original painters were, obviously, needless to say. Yeah, it's a very gorgeous painting, and just all of her paintings are so incredibly symbolic. They're just all like a very intense retrospective into her pain and suffering in her life. But yeah, a very gorgeous painting, and it was my pleasure to try redrawing it. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about my redraw here. Again, I've been doing this series digitally, which makes it a lot faster, otherwise I probably would be here hours. It was a lot of fun, a lot of colors that I don't typically use in my actual artworks. I find that happens a lot in the series, where I get to color pick the actual traditional oil paints that they used back in the day. And yeah, they're all very interesting colors that I wouldn't naturally pick myself if I was picking the color palettes for my artworks. So it's a very nice exercise to step out of my comfort zone in that department. Since many of you guys may know, I have been experimenting a lot with color and bold color choices in my own personal artworks. This was just a very nice exercise. Yeah, it was just really nice drawing a more quote-unquote unconventional face type. You know, she has the very iconic unibrow moment, and she's got a beautiful little facial hair showing up. She always depicted herself true to image, and I love that. So it was really fun to draw something a little bit different to the characters that I usually naturally diverge to drawing. And also I had to draw a monkey, so that was probably the first monkey I've ever drawn. And yeah, all in all, a very lovely redraw to get to do, and I enjoyed it very much. So thank you for voting for this painting in the poll from the last video in the series. There will obviously be another poll in the description box for this video if you guys would like to vote for the painting that I do next, so make sure to cast your vote. And yeah, that was it for my Frida Kahlo redraw. I hope you guys enjoyed. Here is them both side by side. Let me know which bits you think I nailed, which bits you think I didn't nail. Let me know. And I also, of course, hope you enjoyed the voiceover and got to learn something that you didn't know before, because I definitely did researching her, and I really enjoy doing this series. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the redraw. Again, as per usual, let me know if there are any paintings that you'd like me to add to the list for this series. You guys have been giving me some really good suggestions, so leave them down there in the comments. And if you didn't know, I recently launched a Patreon, so if you'd like to support me on there, please make sure to go have a look. And of course, my online shop is open, and you can catch me on all my social media. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.